basics that we need to go through before we can kind of do a deep dive here. So hang on tight. These next 15 minutes, we're going to kind of bring it all together for you. And, you know, if you have questions, be sure to raise your hand and ask. I'll be more than happy to try to answer them. So kind of like I said, some of the historical components with cryptography are invested into modern day cryptography as well. So we oftentimes call it classical cryptography, where we use things like transposition ciphers or substitution ciphers. And, you know, I remember growing up, you know, before we had all this wonderful video and the internet, sitting at the table in the morning, getting ready to eat dinner or getting ready to eat breakfast, and looking at the Frosted Flakes cereal box or whatever cereal box it was. And, you know, you pour your bowl of cereal, you put the milk in there, you know, you're starting to eat and you're just thinking about whatever you're thinking about. And on the back of the cereal box, there's always like a maze or some cool decoded cipher text that in that case, you needed the Tony the Tiger decoder ring in order to be able to decipher that. And at a naive approach to classical cryptography, being able to substitute variables for other keys, if you will, really is a form of cryptography, but it's more obfuscation, where you can probably guess it depending on how difficult it is. And the same if I was to take a word and just reorganize the word through transposition or across the position. If you take the roots of the word, trans to be across and position to be the location, we just kind of switch up the location. So substitution, being able to take things out and put other things in, and then to have the reorganization through transposition. So those are classical types of cryptography. With modern cryptography or modern cipher or modern algorithms, typically what we see is they're based off of two different types of input data. One would be a stream cipher, and the other one would be a block cipher. So the stream cipher would be each individual character gets encrypted. So you can see behind me here on my head, the C, Y, B, E, R, P, R, O, T, E, X. So the C would get encrypted, then it would go to the Y, then it would go to the B, then it would go to the E. So each individual character would be encrypted along a stream cipher process. So it takes a little bit extra time depending on how large the data is. Whereas a block cipher, I may take an 8-bit block or a byte and chunk it so just that block gets encrypted. And so if I have, you know, a 64-bit block, I might actually break that up into 8-bit blocks or 8 bytes altogether and encrypt each block, as opposed to a stream cipher where I'm encrypting each of those 64 bits along the way. So there's some benefits to both of these, and there's also some cons. And for the purposes of your exam, just know that the stream cipher and the block cipher are the two different ways that input data is converted or encrypted to ciphertext, and the reverse of that, you know, decrypted down to plain text as well, or human readable. Once we go a little bit deeper into the bowels of cryptography, we can start to look at a little bit more granularity, and that's where things like the different keys come into play. And those keys are, just like it says on the screen here, the public key and the private key. Public key means that two different keys are used for encryption and decryption, whereas the private key would be just the same key is used for encryption and decryption. So it's important that on this slide, we recognize that 100% of the time,